How to be a successful real estate negotiator. Guys, in this video, I'm gonna share with you things that I wish I would have known years ago, and I'm gonna be sharing the 5 strategies that I use that have helped me close over 500 deals in the last 6 years. Now guys, these 5 strategies that I'm sharing with you right now, this is the difference between being a beginner right now, going out on 10 appointments, and if you're lucky, being able to land 1 contract, to ultimately getting to the point where out of every 10 appointments you're going on, you're landing anywhere between 6 and 7. So stick with me to the end, because if you apply these things, your close ratio is gonna go up. Our first one is something that's really crucial and starts really early as well. It's called building rapport. Now you might have heard that, but let's tie some real stories to this so you can really make it connect with you so you know how to use it when you go on these appointments. Now, first and foremost, people are doing business with people they trust. So how do you gain that trust? What are the ways that you can really go out there and people ultimately want to do business with you versus you trying to sell them on why they should do business with you? You hear about this quote by Zig Ziglar that says, people don't care about what you have to say until they know you care about them. So what are the ways that you can simply show that you care about them? Is it part of who you are? Is it part of your mindset to serve these individuals at a high level? Or is your motivation behind this just money? If so, you're gonna lose a lot of deals to those that are always out here to just serve people and realizing if you serve people at a high level, the byproduct is you're able to do business with these individuals. The second part of that of building rapport is don't be a chameleon. Yes, you can build on things that you are in common with. You start to see things in the house. I like to slow down people all the time to build that relationship and establish that I'm a credible guy or that I like to have fun. And so instead of them like pushing me through the home and saying, hey, let's go look at the master bedroom. Let's go look at the bathroom. I'm just like, oh, whoa, that's a beautiful picture. Where was this taken? And slow them down. Find some things that are common. Oh, that was at Moab. Oh my gosh, I love Moab. Now to the opposite, guys, don't be a chameleon. If you don't like Moab, don't act like you know Moab. Don't act like you care about Moab. We had an incident where we got a deal because our competitor went out to a home and they sat down and they found out that what religion they were part of. And the guy sitting at the couch said, oh, I'm part of that church too. And they started talking, and on his way out, he pointed at this picture and he says, huh, what's that picture? Is that a picture of your dad? And the couple looked at each other like, no. It's a picture of the prophet of the church that you said you're a member of. Guys, ruined the whole deal. But guess what he did for me? He set it up for a slam dunk. Don't be a chameleon. If you don't like cats, don't say you love cats. I don't love cats. So I just simply say, you love cats? What is it about cats that you love? I'm actually not a fan. And they actually love when you're honest with them. Number 2 is listen to their motivation. And this is something I'm gonna break down really simple in what I call the 4 pillars of motivation. Now, the first one is their timeline. When you're always on the phone with them, whenever you're in person with them, you should be asking questions that go to these 4 pillars. I'm gonna break them down right now. The first one being timeline. So what is the timeline when they need to sell? Ask questions about that. Hey, so in a perfect world, when do you wanna move? If it's something that they tell you, I need to move in the next 7 days, guess what they also just told you? A traditional realtor can't help them because that transaction is gonna take anywhere from 30 to 45 days, even in a hot market. So now that you know that, that shows you there's some motivation there. The second one is condition. Now you can do this over the phone, but also it's more importantly, you'll be able to see it when you're in person. But start asking questions, and they may not tell you everything. You'll be like, oh yeah, it's in great shape. Ask them certain questions, like specific questions. Awesome. It shows that your home's in 1990. When's the last time you replaced a roof? Oh, we haven't replaced the roof. Well, fast forward, it's now 31 years. Most times shingles at 31 years, they're starting to curl. They're starting to look bad. So ask good questions that allow them to tell you when the last time they've made updates. Because if things are broken, if things haven't been repaired, that's another sign of motivation. The third one is price. Now, I hesitate sometimes to say this because in most cases, it's a deceiver. What do I mean by that? You ask someone like what they want for the property. Yeah, what are you looking to sell it for? And they tell you this astronomically high price because Zillow out there has ruined this whole thing for us. Zillow has made this price completely high, and they look at Zillow and they're like, oh, my home's worth $450,000, when in reality, it could be worth $280,000. It could be worth less in the condition it's in, right? So they say this high number. Don't let that deceive you and make it where you don't go out on the appointment. Because 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a high price that they say. Now, to the opposite, that 1 time out of 10, they're going to say a price where instantly you're like, whoa, that sounds like a great deal. I got to get out there. So even though it does show a sign of motivation, most times it'll be a deceiver, but don't allow that to navigate you away from going out on that appointment. Still get out there if these other pillars of motivation exist. The fourth one is the driver. What drove them to call you? Maybe you sent out a postcard. What drove them to pick up the postcard and instead of call 50 different realtors that we all know in this market, they called you on a 37-cent postcard, or they're allowing you to cold call them and they're staying on the phone. What drives them to continue to have that conversation or reach out to you? That's your job. Is it because they're behind on taxes? Is it because they're behind on their mortgage? Is it because they're going through their divorce? Is it because of any nuance of these things? You've got to figure that out. Why are they calling you? Because we all know real estate agents. So whenever you get a call from your marketing, you have to expect and you have to tell yourself, this is a motivated seller and I'm just going to find out how and why. Number 3 is benefit versus solution. Now you hear those words, you might think, oh my gosh, they're the same words. That doesn't even make a difference. Let me tell you the difference. Benefit is you worrying about you. You're only worried about yourself. The benefit is you go to the seller and you're like, oh my gosh, you're gonna love working with me because I buy as is, I buy it as cash, you don't have closing costs and this and that and this, and all of your competition is saying that too. We all watch YouTube videos that say, oh, here's why they pick us, because of this. So we go out there and we sound like Charlie Brown's mom. We're like, wah, 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 wah. And they don't even listen to anything because you all said the same thing. Now, how can you take those benefits, although they are true and helpful, and turn them into a solution? That requires you to listen. God gave you 2 ears, 1 mouth. Use them proportionately. That means you got to sit down and really slow down and listen to them. And when they bring up pain points, that's when you can bring a benefit in the form of a solution. So when they're like, I don't have the money to fix it up, so I thought I'd reach out to you. That's when you can say, okay, so if I'm able to buy this home as is that something that would help you? Notice that I didn't present it as a benefit. Oh my gosh, you got the right dude here. I'm gonna just buy it because I buy it as is. You found the right guy. No, it's how can I provide a solution? If I could buy this as is that something that would help? Oh my gosh, would you be willing to buy it like this, Cody? Okay, I'm gonna at least jot it down because I know that's something that's important to you, and jot it down. Be the solution and not the benefit. Hey guys, before I move on to the last 2 steps, which are some of my favorites, I want you to hit that subscribe button. I want you to hit the bell so it alerts you when we put out fresh new content. And if you don't mind, also share this with a friend. The 4th one is setting an anchor. Now, most times they're gonna fly a kite. They're gonna tell you a price that's way up here. You gotta be able to bring down the anchor, right? So you say a price and an anchor to define an anchor. It's gotta be unrealistic and it's gotta solicit a no. I think so many times as a human being, we don't wanna hear no. We don't wanna hear that. And so we just say a price that's high, like, oh, they're at 280, and so we're like, oh, well, we want 275. That doesn't even solicit a no. They're like, oh, well, I'll have to come down 5,000. Yeah, let's sign the contract. No, when you set anchors, it's gotta be unrealistic and solicit a no. So if they're at 200, I'm gonna drop it down to 100. I'm gonna be like, I can't do 200. But what if I could do 100,000? Notice that I don't sound definitive. I don't sound like I can only do 100 or I walk. That closes the door of conversation and you're out the door. But I'm leaving it open. But what if I could do 100? Why did I do that, guys? That's half of what she said or he said. And it's unrealistic. And I can guarantee you they're going to be like, no, I can't do that. Well, here's the best part. No is the beginning of all negotiation. If you heard a yes, you didn't go low enough and you left money on the table. You want to hear a no. At that point, moving forward, it's easy. Now you ask the final questions, and that is, how do you get them to negotiate against themselves, right? Don't be the one that says, okay, well, where do I need to be? Ask them. So when you say 100,000, they say no, say, okay. How close can you get to that number? And just sit there. And you might sit there in an awkward silence for 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and it may feel like 5 minutes, but let them respond. And they're gonna come down. Well, we could come down to 150. But what's great is they negotiated that price. You didn't. You just asked them to come down how close they can get to your price. Number 5, which is my favorite and where most people go wrong, is getting their number first. He or she who says their number first loses. We've heard this all the time. This is like negotiation 101. But yet when we're out there and you have this avid seller that is just not telling you price. Well, you came out here. Well, you sent me the postcard. What do you want to buy it for? What do you do and how can you break that? Because you don't want to be the first one to throw a price out. You've got to be waiting for them to throw their price out first. So ask great questions. If they're just being difficult to work with, you can throw out as simple as maybe a standoff, right? A little holdback where you're like, man, usually when I'm talking to people and they are asking these questions, it usually means that you're not really interested in selling. Is that the case, Mr. Seller? And then just sit there. And they're either going to be, yeah, I'm not interested. I just wanted to waste your time. Great. Now we know, we hang up. Or they may say, because of FOMO, fear of missing out, like, oh man, maybe I can't play this guy that hard either because what if he's my only option on buying my home? Well, no, I mean, yeah, I know what I want. Like, we're hoping to get around 250. Just get creative. Don't be afraid to pull back a little. Not in a rude way, not in a bad way, but remember, how's the best way? What's the best way to capture a dog? It's not to chase it. It's to walk away and let the dog chase you. So there's times where you have to use that strategy. Now, the other thing about this is you really have to, once they have a number, right? You've agreed on a number in the sense of they're saying a number and you're thinking, I can actually make that number work. You don't move forward until you get a commitment that they will also move forward today. Not tomorrow, not in the future, but today. So instead of saying, okay, yeah, I'll pay $150, they're gonna be like, okay, great, I need to think about it. So if you can just leave the contract, I'll look it over and we'll get back to you tomorrow. But what you just did is you just committed and you didn't get the contract signed. So instead, what I do is I hesitate and I say, okay, 150. If I'm able to do 150, is that something we can put an agreement together today? And just wait there. And if they say yes, at that moment, okay, I'm willing to do 150. But if you can't get that commitment, do not let them know that you're willing to pay that price, and do not leave them a price, and do not leave them an offer. It's here to do business today. And if they're not ready to do business today, we don't leave a price. Instead, dangle that carrot so that you have a way to get back of just saying, you know what, we may have to sharpen the pencil and think about this and really look at our numbers and then set up a new date to come back. Hey guys, as a gift to you, I want you to click the link in the description that's gonna give you access to this 3-pack live training videos of what I call Deal Closing Mastery. Deal Closing Mastery is where I train over 80 companies nationwide, but you're gonna get access to these recordings where individuals have come to me with real-time deals, going through their struggles, saying, oh man, how do I close this one? How do I take this to the closing line? And we work through this, and you'll get to see exactly how we work through those negotiations so that you can continue to get better at your game and close more deals.